basic recipe is a quart of liquid, 3.5 pounds of flour, ounce of yeast, ounce of sugar, and an ounce of shortening. That's basic.
Shortening, what do you mean by shortening?
Oil.
Just vegetable oil?
Vegetable oil, yeah. Well, you can use any kind of oil, but motor oil.
And the bread has to be bread flour.
Bread flour, yeah.
Why is that?
High gluten, so it'll carry, because we're going to put some stuff in that don't have any gluten in it, and it won't be able to carry itself. So this flour has a high gluten content.
Makes it stand up.
Makes it that makes the structure. The gas pushes the flour up after it's mixed, and the flour or the gluten creates the structure. And then when you bake it, it sets it. So we're going to weigh out 3.5 pounds of bread flour. And we're going to make cracked wheat bread. So after I get this one. Yeah, 3 pounds.
This thing's half a pound.
Well, that balances it out. See, I had this plated.
Oh, that's right.
Well, we're making cracked wheat bread, so we're going to put some cracked wheat in.
You don't need that. Now this yeast you had prepared before we did this, what's
Oh,
that?
yeah. Well, there's an ounce of yeast under normal conditions. We're going to use a little more than that in order to speed the whole thing up.
But is it frozen cake yeast?
Yeah,
or
it's
powdered?
frozen. It's frozen, so it's got
Not
to be
powdered yeast though.
No.
Where do you get this cake yeast? At the grocery store?
Yeah. If you're going to use powdered yeast, you just pour it on top and let it set. And you wouldn't mix it. You don't mix it up until after it's starting to work. So I got to weigh out a pound of this cracked wheat.
But you like to use that cake yeast instead of powdered yeast.
Oh yeah, it's fast. It dissolves faster and it's... Now, what I do is I pour that in there.
That sweet, you just go to a grocery store and get that, or do you have to go to a specialty place?
You'd have to get that usually at a specialty store. You could use whole wheat flour too, but I
You don't
like
get
to
the
use-
nuts in there though.
No,
The berries.
I like that. Actually, I like to put even a little more than that, and I think I will. I'll put another half pound in.
Be careful, okay?
It makes it heavier.
Yeah, there's pounds in there.
Now this is heavy stuff, but I think this flour will carry it. Normally, I try to get a hold of gluten flour that they usually use to make bread for diabetics. And that adds a little more strength to this flour.
It's called gluten flour.
Gluten, yeah.
Did you have another name for it yesterday?
No.
I thought it was like shots or something. Gluten flour. Why is gluten flour for diabetics?
Well, see, starch
Turns into sugar.
turns into sugar, and diabetics have a hard time handling that.
That's the salt.
Yeah, that's salt. noses. Yeah.
What was that now?
Oh, that was oil.
All right, so now you've got the
Oil
the oil mixed in with the
yeast
cake
and water.
yeast and water.
Now I'm gonna
Dump it
mix.
in.
How much water did you put in with that yeast?
Well, there's a quart and a quart and a half in there.
And how much yeast? How much?
Well, I had about 3 ounces of yeast in there. And this is called mixing the dough.
So you don't have milk or anything yet?
Well, you can't, but I didn't because this has got enough to carry without adding 4 more ounces of milk. It'll make it more nutritious if you had milk in it.
It's got calcium added to the flour.
Yeah, well, it's not good.
Look at that beautiful tablecloth that you're doing this in.
Yeah, this came over from the old country in 1850 on the sailboat from Ireland. It's made out of linen.
So you just kind of, now if you had would you normally be doing this in a bowl or on the,
Well, if I ever had a mixer, I'd be doing that.
What kind of mixer would you use?
Hobart.
Why, Hobart?
Oh, it's just the best one out.
the one you have isn't big enough?
No, that's,
You need an industrial.
yeah.
For this big a loaf?
Well, this is just a small
Batch.
This is gonna make what, 2 or 3 loaves?
Well, this will make about 6 loaves. 5, well, it'll make 5 good loaves. 5, about 5 loaves.
Take it till all the flour is,
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't any dry
Mhm.
stuff like
In fact, I think I needed a little more flour. Why don't you just pour, put about a cup. That's about 4 more ounces. I think. Yeah. Just pour it in. It depends. The moisture content of the air has a lot to do with how much moisture you need. Like if it's a real moist day, you wouldn't want to be making. It isn't too bad to make bread on it, but you can always add a little more flour to take up the moisture. But I'd say angel food cake would just be a complete disaster.
that, on a moist day.
Yeah, because it depends on the air to lift it. And
The
the
gas,
extra water would be just, killer. But in this stuff, you can always add a little more flour if you have a problem. I usually get over late. Yeah. Gotta mix get the gluten to mix up good. That's why you have to knead it, stretch it.
so this is an important aspect, not just to mix the flour in.
Oh yeah, this is very important. Yeah.
Like, how do you know when it's needed? You do do this for so many minutes, or just until you feel like it's,
Well, just till it soaks up all the flour that comes off their hands. That's a good time. But yeah, and then it's last,
so you get your fingernails clean this way too?
well, no, you have to clean them afterwards. Here, Jennifer.
Yeah, let's play cat.
All right, give me a little of that oil. Now we just oil it a little bit.
Hit the light in the kitchen if he's going that way too. Will you?
Listen, pour a little, give me a cap for the start with. Okay, right top. I'm gonna have another cap.
I mean, it just comes together.
Okay, put that glass on top. And that is it.
Did you get it dancing?
No.
So now we're gonna let it sit there for a while.
Well, yeah, it takes a couple hours to do that. You gotta come up twice. You're not gonna put up, it'll be up to about an hour, maybe a little faster.
Do we put this in,
Knock it down again.
do we put this in any kind of, warm?
Well, yeah, you can stick it in the oven. Sometimes I stick it over here, and sometimes I put it up like that. Because it's warmer.
Let's do that. This is an important part called putting it on a refrigerator.
Well, basically, you start out with 32 ounces of a quart of water, or a quart of liquid. Could be eggs. I mean, you can make it with a combination of milk and eggs. Or you can use just water, or you can use just milk. But anyway, then you use 3.5 pounds of flour for just plain ordinary white bread. Then if you're going to add corn or whole wheat or whatever you want to it, then of course you have to adjust for the amount that you add to it. But at 3.5 pounds of white bread flour will carry about 1.5 pounds of wheat, or probably maybe 1/2 pound of corn, because corn's more dense. It's heavier. Works out. Then we have an ounce of oil and an ounce of sugar and an ounce of salt. That's basic. From there on, you can just, depending on how much you want to make, you just multiply it. Have a little dough, Joe. Now we'll get going with the dough, Joe. Weigh it out. Turning the scale around.
How much
We're
is
gonna
this?
make this, weigh this out about, we're gonna try it at about 1 pound 12
Now you
ounces.
beat this down and let it rise back.
Right.
We've done that, now we're going to
Ball it up, let it,
rise again and pan
then we're gonna shape it. Hold it, shape it. These are gonna be a hair over 2 pounds apiece. A little dough left. But they'll fill up the pans with. Now, just
hold them into themselves.
yeah.
You got that technique there, Bob?
Yeah.
Nice.
nice going on out there in the kitchen window.
Can you turn that down?
Okay, now we'll just set for about a half hour and then we'll,
So this is actually the third rise that's gonna do then.
yeah.
So when you let it rise the first time, does it double in size or triple?
Yeah, double,
Each time?
yeah,
And it's gonna double in size here again?
yeah. And then we'll pan it. I'll get the pan.
Back up on the refrigerator.
What?
What eggs?
Oh, if you had eggs in here, you know, it would push the dough up a lot better.
Whole eggs?
Yeah, when you bake it.
So you do-
But you're adding a lot of cholesterol there too at the same time, so this,
How many eggs do you add?
well, I usually add it. I figure if I'm egg a loaf.
You just crack the whole egg and then you don't worry about the yolks.
Oh, no, when you put your moisture in, you put the eggs with that.
That's what I mean, but it's the whole egg, not, you don't take the yolk out or.
No. You can though, if you want. And, this is putting the dough in the pan, man.
This is the fun part.
Now, after we get this done, what we'll do is we stick a fork or a knife in it. That's called dock. And that breaks up any air bubbles that may be in there. Make it, makes it more uniform. Texture. Then we'll dock it.
Now, why wouldn't you put butter on this to give it a golden brown?
Well, it won't. If you're gonna do that, you do it afterwards. Because it screws up the crust. It would bubble. What they usually do is split it down the middle and run some butter down through it. But that's just a sales.
Now you let it rise in the pans again?
Yeah, we let it rise in the pans, and then we bake it. We'll put a damp cloth over the top.
Wait.
The ideal temperature for putting this, the ideal temperature for working with this stuff is 80 degrees. And if you're baking, I usually bake it at 400, depending on the oven.
So the yeast grows the optimally at around 80 degrees.
Yeah, perfect. At
So
80.
any hotter than that, it kills the yeast, any colder than that.
Well, no, not any colder, hotter than that. 110 degrees or probably 110 to 115 will kill the yeast. Colder than that retards it.
So that's why,
Too much sugar, too much shortening, too much salt will kill it. And salt is used for two things. One is strengthening the gluten and flavor. But you can make it without salt.
so these proofing bins that people have, or restaurant bakeries have, that's in an area that's warm.
It's warm and moist, so that when it doesn't crust over, and it raises without, it stretches without crusting. If it crusts over, then it splits.
Crusting over means it dries out too much.
Well, yeah, crusts over, yeah, it dries out. Then you got a mess.
So it doubles in size in the pan.
Yeah, this will double. We'll when it's up to about here, we'll bake or stick it in the oven, then it'll come up to maybe about there. This is heavy stuff here. This will keep your toes clean.
You'll have to head right into there. Go for it. Ta-da!
Come on, put me up, Mama.
Does that flash your teeth?
No teeth flashing.
Yeah.